We're moving very, very quickly in a direction where we have a strategic Bitcoin reserve,
Hmm.
where the largest entity in the world, which is the US government, is buying Bitcoin. And so if you're not buying Bitcoin and your government is buying Bitcoin and you're sort of still on the Peter Schiff train that this is not real money, you got to go see a doctor because obviously it's real if the U.S. government's buying it. So it doesn't matter how much the U.S. government buys.
Yeah.
The fact that we have a strategic reserve is all you need to know.
Fred Krueger highlights that the adoption cycle of Bitcoin is still in its early phases, highlighting the enormous potential for institutional capital to pour into the cryptocurrency over the ensuing years. He estimates that for the next 4 years, the value of Bitcoin might increase by $1 trillion. The takeaway for individual investors is straightforward. You don't want to be the last to join. Krueger reiterates the well-known adage, you don't want to be the last to invest in something new, but you also don't want to be the first. Additionally, Krueger cautions against considering Bitcoin to be a trading asset. He believes that trying to time the market or make fast trades is incorrect analysis. As an alternative, he believes that Bitcoin is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that might be the best performing asset of our time. Krueger advises concentrating on your allocation strategy and comprehending Bitcoin's inherent volatility rather than attempting to predict short-term price swings. He disputes the notion that a 1% to 2% investment is sufficient, contending that a 10% allocation or less could result in the loss of significant upside potential. Before we dive deeper, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more insights on Bitcoin. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps us grow and reach more viewers. Thanks for your support and enjoy the video.
Where is TradFi's allocation to Bitcoin? And let me put it this way. There's about 46, 47 trillion dollars worth of stocks out there, an equivalent amount of bonds, and 5 or 6 trillion of cash out there. And just in the U.S. alone, there's $100 trillion of financial assets. Bitcoin right now is a $1.5 trillion asset class, but of that $1.5 trillion, TradFi only owns about $100 billion worth, which is kind of the value of all the ETFs, which is about 1 million coins, and MicroStrategy, right? So
Hmm.
in a world where they have $100 billion of it, but their total pie is $100 trillion, their actual asset allocation is 0.1%. And actually, it's less than that because Bitcoin's a global asset, and the U.S. doesn't have more than a third of the total global pie.
Hmm.
So we're looking at something like 0.3 tenths of a percent of allocation to this asset class, and I mean we're going to north of 1% very quickly.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
so
think I
so
think
we're looking at $1 trillion coming into this asset over the next, let's call it 4 years. But it's if this money's coming in, you don't really want to be the last guy in the pool. I think they always have this adage: you don't want to be the first guy in the pool, but you don't want to be the last. You certainly don't want to be the last guy in the pool either. The first problem is if you think about trading Bitcoin, you're in the wrong. You've already said the wrong thing. Okay, you should not trade Bitcoin. Period. Full stop. Ever. Okay.
yeah.
So the fact that you're asking about trading Bitcoin is wrong. This is probably going to be. I mean, it will be the best asset, the best performing asset of your entire life. And if you're trying to pick where it's going in the next 3 months, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But this thing is going to go so much higher that the only thing you need to do is how can I possibly stomach the inevitable volatility that's going to happen, and how much of a position can I take? Now, I would sort of say if your number is 10% of your portfolio or less, you're probably thinking the wrong number, right?
Hmm.
You're probably in the wrong zip code. Okay. So if you're saying 1 to 2%, I mean, great. You've just seen the best asset of all times, and it with the best catalyst for growth of all times, and you're coming up with 2%. What's happening with the other 90%? You're just going to put it in the bank. You're going to put it in you're going to put it in some dog stock. All the amount of money that's come into this market is inconsequential relative to the amount of money that's about to come into this market. It just doesn't matter. So, again, there's these big buckets of money in the world, right? So there's self-directed people going to their stock, their portfolio, their account at Merrill Lynch and just clicking a few buttons and picking up some exposure to MSTR or one of the new ETFs. That's a third. You have institutions like pension funds, retirement accounts, and things like that. That's another third. And then you have managed accounts where wealth managers are allocating on behalf of their clients. That's a third. And none of these things they're just like dipping the very top bit of their toe in the water. That's 0.1%. They are not involved yet. So, it's sort of like the dam there's a little bit of water, there's a little fissure in the dam, and we're seeing some water drip through the dam. And we're going, oh my God, is this, how much is the entire dam is about to break. So, you're in, the looking at the chart of Bitcoin in the past, I don't think informs you very well as to where it's about to go. We are about to have a breaking dam moment where TradFi has finally awoken to this asset. And number one, understands the asset, understands the opportunity. And number two, can now, for the last 9 months, invest in this asset. That the ETF is live. They can push a button, they can get exposure. So I think, we have the catalyst for this move, which is the ETF. That's the necessary and sufficient condition. Before that, traditional investors couldn't buy Bitcoin easily. Sure, they could open an account at Coinbase, but that's a very small percentage of people who are going to do that.
When it comes to cryptocurrency investing, Fred Krueger has a clear position. Remain with Bitcoin. He cautions against expanding into other cryptocurrencies, emphasizing the simplicity and track record of Bitcoin as the main justifications for concentrating on it. Krueger cautions that investigating other cryptocurrencies can quickly turn into a diversion, drawing investors into never-ending research on various price movements, blockchain technologies, and speculative ventures. Instead, he thinks Bitcoin is unique due to its unparalleled value proposition, its exceptional security, robustness, and reputation as a genuinely decentralized, internationally renowned asset make it an excellent option. Investors can avoid the dangers and complications associated with navigating numerous blockchain ecosystems by concentrating only on Bitcoin. Krueger contends that this kind of portfolio simplification not only offers clarity, but also a dependable route to accumulating money over the long run.
There's a tsunami comes first, right? Which is, we get this thing in everybody's portfolios. And then the question is, once we have this sort of phase shift of, that we're about to see in the next year, I would say, then we're going to start to see that volatility come down and people are going to take advantage of dips and buy them. And more people are going to put money in and we're going to have more steady eddy, but not now, right? Right now, it's exactly the opposite. Volatility over the last 4 days has been the highest it's ever been. It is a promise that Trump made to us in Nashville when I was in with all my fellow Bitcoiners in the actual physical same room with Donald Trump. When he made that promise, I was in the same room with RFK Jr. when he made that promise. We were in the same room with Senator Loomis when they made that promise. This is happening, okay? And you may be in disbelief that it's happening, but it is going to happen in, by, I would say, March of next year. So this is going to happen, and it's not just going to happen suddenly with like Congress fighting it. No, there's going to be talk of this thing right when Congress gets back to work on the 5th of January. So we're moving very, very quickly in a direction where we have a strategically largest entity in the world, which is the U.S. government, is buying Bitcoin. And so if you're not buying Bitcoin and your government is buying Bitcoin and you're sort of still on the Peter Schiff train that this is not real money, you got to go see a doctor because Obviously it's real if the U.S. government's buying it. So it doesn't matter how much the U.S. government buys.
Yeah.
The fact that we have a strategic reserve is all you need to know. That is all you need to know. And that means that if you're a company, your company needs to buy Bitcoin. If you're a country, your country needs to buy Bitcoin. If you're an individual, you need to start front running that as fast as you can, right? You just got the go ahead. So you need to start your allocation, whatever it is way too low, So that's the mental shift. I'm not saying they're all terrible. What I'm saying is the biggest opportunity right now and the biggest opportunity in your portfolio is Bitcoin. It's how much Bitcoin do you own? What you really need to do is figure out the main question, which is what percent of your portfolio is in Bitcoin?
Fred Krueger makes a compelling case for simplifying investing by concentrating only on Bitcoin, highlighting the significance of taking immediate action as well as the possible opportunities that lie ahead. He predicts a huge wave that would change the way Bitcoin is used in a variety of portfolios, from large governments and enterprises to individual investors. As more people invest, buy the dips, and eventually come to see Bitcoin as a stable asset, Krueger predicts that this change might begin as early as next year. He describes what it was like to be there when important leaders like Senator Cynthia Lummis, Donald Trump, made important pledges about the regulation and adoption of Bitcoin. His audacious statement that the U.S. government will purchase Bitcoin and create a strategic Bitcoin reserve follows. He contends that if the U.S. government is paying attention to Bitcoin, it is a clear indication for everyone, including people and businesses, to start purchasing the cryptocurrency and seizing this enormous opportunity. Krueger believes the biggest question investors face now is what percentage of their portfolio should be allocated to Bitcoin. He suggests that most people's current allocation is too low and urges them to act quickly, focusing on Bitcoin instead of diversifying into other cryptocurrencies. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep up with our daily videos. Until next time, happy investing.